Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra,
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting untold stories of people.
associated with the creation
Or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked.
and sometimes what didn't,
You will also hear very personal experiences.
and insights that would trigger your thoughts.
And inspire you to do even greater things.
Welcome to this episode of the Software People Stories, Vasu. I would say welcome back.
Thank you, Shiguru. Nice to be back.
You are not new to Software People Stories, and our audience also knows you. And this time, it's a slightly different format. We are saying we're running a series towards the end of the year when a lot of us reflect on what happened in the past year and then what we can do next year, etc. I thought that it will be good for me, definitely, to learn from people like you, where I've been observing you for a long time. We work together, but some of the things that you're very strong at, which I've been trying to do, which I haven't been able to. So the question I have is about your observation and note-taking. Okay. In the meetings, I've seen you observe very minute details, and you also make extensive notes.
Yeah,
So-
actually, yeah, that's correct. I'm a good observer. Taking notes actually is, I don't know how it started, but then, it has been pointed out to me that I'm a good observer for a long time. And then, then I started liking that. Then I do more of it. So if something is appreciated and then you like it, you tend to do more of it. So I don't know, I have this knack of remembering odd things. Like, suddenly I'll remember what somebody said 20 years back at some place, and things like that. So it's just something which I'm good at. It also helps me professionally because in any meeting, when you're working with people, working with stakeholders, you're able to observe this, and definitely it gives you extra input. You can actually leverage that or, react to that. And taking notes actually it has come because of situations where you are there for the team and the team is not there. So you have to actually pass on the information, and communication is very key. So people have to get what has been happening. So because of my observation interest, and as well as this need of passing on the information to the team so that they have the full information and they can react, I started doing it. So actually I recollect that I was just going through my tape collection, and then I played one tape. Then I was so surprised that I had actually recorded a conference call in the 90s for my team, because I used to have the conference call from my home late in the night. I recorded it so that I can play back. So that urge to actually make sure that you pass on all the information to your team so that they are well equipped with the info and they can deal with it makes me take good notes. But one thing I should say, at PM Power, I think initially I used to think I am the best, but now actually there are many more people who I think do better than me. So maybe you should tap them also as part of this series.
So a few questions. While you said that it seems to be something that unconsciously has been a strength for you, what do you observe when you say observe? Normally, whether it is about interacting with people or about surroundings or no, what all things do you observe, or what catches your attention?
Actually, it's slightly difficult to answer. I don't know. I can say it like this. So I observe things which, when I share, people are surprised or impressed.
Examples?
So for example, it may be then that the person is sensitive about it. Okay, then actually others are also absorbed. But when you bring it up, they say, yeah, what you say is true. But the thing is, what you have to understand is that your bandwidth is limited. Your brain processing power is limited. So I'm sure if I'm observing something, so I'm observing the emotion of that person in response to some statement being made or something be discussed. So I'm sure that there must be something else happening which I miss out on. But the thing is, like, I have some way of filtering what is important, what is relevant. So when you're discussing, you are very particular that you understand how others are reacting so that you can actually deal with it. So that way, observing somebody's emotion, how they reacted, is one thing. So things like this. Sometimes it could be just something in the surrounding, like how the arrangements have been made, or some fun piece of furniture or some decoration. So it varies actually. I mean it's not conscious. So whatever happens happens.
So is this something that happens while you are there, or is this something that you recollect later?
So yeah, that's a good point. So basically, I'll be jotting down some notes, and then many of the things I recollect when I try to document that. And then that's a very key point you bring up. So suppose I document the meeting, say within 24 hours. So my notes will be good. More I delay it, the more I'll miss out. Unless like then I'll have only things which I really observed and which made an impression, but many things I'll forget. And many times I myself not able to decipher. When I'm making notes, it's very clear to me what I'm writing down, but if I delay converting them into notes or transcribing them, then I may not be able to understand some of the things I myself wrote.
So if you are taking notes again during the interactions or when you are there, or when you said you observe certain things, possibly things that are more interesting for you, how do you ensure that you are still engaged in the interaction and don't miss out on something while taking notes?
Yeah, that's a very good point. So sometimes as I'm doing, I realize that I'm noting down something, I'm writing something, and something what is being discussed is more important. So you have to be attentive, and then you say, okay, fine, let me give a stop to this and pay attention to what is happening. So that you have to continuously be alert and do it. Sometimes you may miss out, but then you just have to take it as it comes.
So are there any techniques that you use for taking notes? Are they full sentences, words, maybe pictures, or shorthand? I don't know.
Yeah, I try to keep it short so that I can actually capture more information. So I'll use my own abbreviations. I attend a lot of daily scrums. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just write YTI and then I'll cross out. So in the early days, right, Y stands for what I did yesterday, T stands for today, I for impediment. So then later on, when I'm talking with the scrum master, I'll ask like, what do you think, people? Everybody did this. Did anybody miss out? So then just as an example, one or two I'll bring up. What about this person? So things like that. So simple abbreviation or simple, shortening of words and things like that.
And when you observe, supposing something, say, either is not very clear, or you want to confirm whether your observation is right, is there anything that you do to seek an affirmation or some feedback right there?
Yeah, definitely. Like that's part of my general meeting. So if I hear something and then it is kind of out of place, so I'll try to confirm at the right opportunity. Maybe at that time itself interrupt and ask, and then or try to get the confirmation later. Sometimes I may think it's not very important. Then I will actually make a note and check with others who may be participating along with me in meeting from PM Power. What do you think of that? So like that. So if it is very important, I think it's critical, then I'll straight away ask the person.
Okay. So does your style or approach, techniques, whatever you use, change based on either the meeting or the people in the meeting?
It may vary depending on, see, for example, if you're meeting with clients and customers, you'll be more alert. Observing as a coach, then you'll be at a different level. So yeah, it varies, but I don't say, I cannot say like whether I adopt anything specific for something, no.
What about nowadays, when many of these meetings are remote and quite a few people are not very comfortable switching on their videos also? So has this made the task of observation either definitely tougher, I would assume, maybe less accurate, or have you figured out some ways of still capturing the salient aspects?
No, actually, I don't see any difference because the voice is a giveaway. I mean, you have emotions in the voice also. And then what happens is like, if the person is on video, definitely you can see more. But if it's only voice, then you only process the voice. Of course, like if he's grimacing, you don't know. But, you tend to get the emotions in the voice also.
Yeah, but that for face-to-face meetings also nowadays, I guess many people wear masks, so you can't see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is more the context, and then also see one of the other things is which is a problem is like you have a bias or you have a initial condition. So I may be going to a meeting, and even if I try to be unbiased or not make an initial impression, I may feel, okay, this particular person is not agile supporter. So I may have an impression like that. Because you have that impression, you tend to magnify the things which are going, or which actually support that view and things like that. That also happens, but then you have to be watchful of it.
Yeah, the confirmation bias. So this is interesting. When you say you have to be watchful of it, are there any techniques that one can learn or follow to be more watchful or be more observant?
I cannot see of any technique, but then you just like having a sense of purpose or the outcome of that meeting, like why are you there? So that helps actually. So then you can actually focus on observations which are relevant to the outcome of the meeting, and not focus on things which are not relevant. So that's what. So basically, like periodically remind yourself, you're in this meeting, and why are you in this meeting? So that kind of helps to see that you focus on the right things.
See, one thing which has happened to me, which is why this question, I think that when you share some observation, let's say it may be about the posture that is some person was taking in a meeting, which might appear either the person was not engaged or maybe taking it a little casual or something like that. But when I share that with that person after the meeting, sometimes they don't like it. Have you had any such things, or how do you, I mean, this is not even as a feedback saying, I observed this, I found it amusing, or I found something interesting, so I'm just sharing it again only with that person. Still, it's not received always positively, or I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's a different thing. See, you observe and then you take that for you to process. So going and sharing that feedback with others, then I think, it's a normal thing. You have to have a rapport. You have to like do simple things like ask before tell. For example, if you're in a professional situation, like you're a coach, and then, you're giving feedback to the scrum master, product owner, then you have to do it, right? And then one example is like, see, I just asked one person, like, when does her day start? Okay. So because I was having a meeting with her at 10, it was a daily scrum. So I wanted to know what time I was working newly with this organization. I wanted to know what time does the organization start working. So like, it's like, it was told that it's at 10. Then, before that something else is there. Then casually said, is there any feedback or tips you have for me? So I said, so I assume that the person is scrum master for two teams, new scrum master. So I said, one of the things I would do is prepare for every meeting. So this was like a generic input. And then considering a new scrum master, normally scrum masters say too many meetings, I said, then actually the person was slightly offended, said like, I prepare everything the previous night. So for all my meetings. But the thing is, I just went by 10 o'clock is the meeting, 9:30 is the other scrum, and then you get started at then. So then I realized that I just assumed. So things like that, better to ask. And then when asking, you may want to give a feedback, you ask based on the mood of the person, tone of the person, okay, this is not the right time to share it. And then you keep it for some time, some other time. Yeah, once in a while, you learn, right? You share, and the person did not like, you have to figure out why he didn't like, and then see that next time you do it in a different way.
At the start of this conversation, you mentioned that there are some more people who are also very good observers. Are there some of their techniques or their styles that you like or you appreciate? If you can share what else people can explore to become good observers.
Basically, see, I have not engaged with them when they were observing, but like people who were being observed have shared this feedback. So I can mention names. So one is Guru, right? So one thing which Vishu mentioned is that, so his notes were in different colors. So different color for different kinds of things. So I've not seen the notes, but so that's something good. Okay. Other thing is like we have KP who makes notes for every meeting. So fairly, so he also does like this. Lot of conversation happens. We have Harte and all that. Sometimes at the beginning, sometimes in the middle. But then he captures the essence and then makes a note of it. So I think like I feel that many people who are consultants and all, they tend to have good observation skills. I mean, it's a necessity, I feel, for them.
One question that I have is that I also tend to take notes, but then I am very inconsistent in terms of the medium that I use. Sometimes it may be in a notebook, sometimes online, sometimes maybe even slips of paper. If I notice something, I just want to note it down. But then I don't go back and refer to most of it. See, some things which I want to explore more, like somebody mentions a book, or I hear a new term, which there was no opportunity to get a clarification during that session or no, at that time. I note it down and try to look at it. And after that, I don't even revisit it. So when it comes to maintaining notes, do you have any tips in terms of what medium works, or whether any of these tools that help in just note taking? Have you used any of them, or for indexing or searching and things later?
Actually, I don't tend to search my notes that much. So the notes have some, you can say some usefulness period. So it's better if I transcribe it. If I don't transcribe it, then it's very rare that I'll go back and look at it. Sometimes I may use a different color ink and put some stars or circle some things which are very important. So yeah, it varies. So sometimes I also don't refer to my notes. So the best is you transcribe it, then you process it once more. You get value if you process it once more. If you are not processing either by not looking at it or anything, then I don't think, I mean, it just was maybe it provided you some kind of a reinforcement when you're in the meeting, because you noted down, maybe you remember it or something like that. And one tool I like, especially when working with multiple teams in multiple roles, like especially in coaching, is OneNote. So OneNote actually is very nice. You can actually keep like, for example, you can open one tab. Within that, you can have different pages, one for daily Scrum, one for interaction with Scrum Master, one for interactions with product owner and things like that. So there also, like, sometimes I try to make note directly in the OneNote, but then, that I used to do more when, I used to participate in regular office, like when I used to physically go to the office. But when you're doing online, I try to make notes and then immediately try to move things there. Okay, that's then again, I know sometimes I think maybe I can ask you this question also, of connecting two monitors and then, having something there and something here. Like, for example, MS Teams, one of the challenges we faced is that when you're presenting, you just get the screen and nothing else. So you normally in Zoom, you have the option of having the participant list on one side, and anybody speaking will get highlighted, or but that is totally lost. So the first time I used MS Teams and presented, it was like very unnerving. So then I had to take help of other colleagues and ask them who is speaking and things like that. So maybe if you have two screens, and if it is possible, then I can watch in one and make notes in other. I don't know whether you have attempted.
Yeah, since you asked, I have also been finding a little disorienting in some of these meeting platforms. But at least with Teams, there are a couple of options. That first one is not just for Teams. If you are okay with a smaller area on the screen, you can split your screen and then have two windows side by side. You can dock them. When you just drag that window and then it can snap. I can show you later on if you want. That is one way.
But that you can, that is, I know that actually I had a utility, then now I know that Windows itself does it. Yeah. But the problem is you are presenting.
Yeah, so for presentations, even when you're doing it in person, there is a mode called presenter mode, which shows you not only the current slide, notes, and
the next slide.
Correct. So now, if you're using Teams from your PowerPoint, it depends on the version. See if you're getting an option which says present in Teams.
Okay.
So rather than launching from Teams or sharing a screen, go to PowerPoint and say present in Teams. Then it gives you the presenter view as well as all the participants.
Okay, that's
You'll
good.
see that.
That's a good thing to know. I'll give it a
Yeah.
try.
Yeah, so that's something that I have found useful. Now, one last question,
Mhm.
going back to this observation and teams, does it make a difference when you have a culturally diverse participation, members, which could be across geographies and so on, and anything that we need to be aware of, any tips for that?
Yeah, if it is culturally diverse, then you are kind of prepped for it. You know that you have to observe more. You will be seeing things which you may not have seen. So you become more alert. So that's all I think happens with me. I become more alert and I'm open to watching or possibility of observing things which I may not have seen. So you have to be slightly alerter than normal.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks, Vasu. That definitely gives me some new things to learn and practice for the coming year. And I'm sure our listeners also would have some takeaways and they'll find next year more productive and
Yeah,
be more observant.
I'm not sure whether there are any takeaways. I just sharing what I do naturally, and I think everybody is doing things like this naturally is what I think.
Yeah, thanks. That was good
Thanks,
to hear.
Shiguru. Thanks for the
Sharing
chat.
stories of people and how each one has been doing, and that has been triggers for inspiration for many others.
Thanks, Shiguru.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Anita for promoting the Software People Stories.
If you like this episode,
Please subscribe on your favorite podcast client.
And spread the word in your network.
if you'd like to share your story,
Contact us at podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.